Grant the Cowboy joining you from Cleveland and the Republican National Convention. As you can see, this is the arena behind us, and these are the fences that are kind of all over the city. We call this the perimeter. I shouldn't say all over the city, but within maybe a mile and a half of the arena. We're coming to you on Wednesday. We're about halfway through the convention, and we can tell you that the protesters have almost been non-existent. Huge police presence here from just about every state you can imagine. California Highway Patrol we saw, Montana, Wisconsin. So it's a heavy police presence. Fingers crossed that nothing bad happens.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta thank two people here. The police departments, not only of Cleveland, but from all over the country, and the people of Cleveland. I think they've done an excellent job here. And it does kind of seem like we're in an armed camp, because we are in a perimeter. If you don't have your pass, if you don't have one of these, you're not getting anywhere.
We could give you a much more beautiful shot of the arena, I suppose, but we wanted for our first hit today to kind of show you what it's like. These pens that you can see behind us are just kind of all over town. If you have the right credentials, you can get through them, you can get around them. If you don't, and protesters don't, you're out of luck. But let's talk a little bit about the convention.
Yeah.
From a historical standpoint, Patrick, it has been different. You saw Donald Trump appearing live on night number one. That
Right.
rarely happens. And you saw a little bit of a disagreement about the rules early on Monday.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, having looked at previous conventions and a little of the history, and also having been to conventions, that was powder puff compared to what's happened before. But the media is looking for a fight. They want to see Republicans chewing up each other. So naturally, they're going to do this. I'm wondering if they can do the same next week with the Bernie supporters versus the Hillary supporters.
Well, so far, in a country that has seen several police officers killed in the last couple of weeks, a couple of African-American people killed by police, which started some of this, all sorts of unrest in just about every stripe and any kind of way you can look at it, whether it's the economy, foreign policy, civil rights, etc. And the biggest thing they can find is Melania Trump might have plagiarized a couple of lines from the First Lady's speech in 2008.
Yeah, and the media is chasing this old dog. But I think last night, the speech of Donald J. Trump Jr. changed the dynamic. I don't hear a lot of reporters talking about the speech today. I hear them talking about a star is born. You know, these conventions, sometimes somebody emerges. 2004, Barack Obama emerged. 1976, although Reagan was known, he emerged as a very strong force. And I think Donald J. Trump Jr., if he wants a political career, he's got one.
Well, the takeaway last night from after watching that speech and watching his stepsister Tiffany's speech really was that Donald Trump may be a little bit harsh, he may be a little bit egotistical, he may be whatever adjective you want to use, but he's raising some good kids, it seems, so he can't be all bad.
If a man is judged by the quality of his children, he's a hell of a guy. Because those kids are poised. This 22-year-old Tiffany Trump, she's never spoken. You know, she said the closest thing she did was speaking in front of a class. So here's 10 million people looking in from around America, all this crowd there, and she was fantastic. These kids are poised, smart, and ready to go.
And we heard from a source that she did get a little coaching from her mom, the actress Marla Maples, who was backstage with her, rehearsing, I guess, behind the scenes. They have a teleprompter that they can use before they get to the big show. Now, tonight, on Wednesday night, as we come to you, we're going to be hearing from Ted Cruz, which should be interesting. The last we heard, his speech had not been vetted by either Trump's people or the RNC, which either Donald's a very trusting guy or he's going to give Ted a chance to make a fool of himself, perhaps.
Well, the story is that a lot of people who are Cruz supporters say, okay, we've had our run. It's now time to get behind the nominee. I think if he tries to do something to make this about him, he can forget about it, because he'll get a primary challenge in 2018 when he's trying to run for his Senate seat. So to me, it's sour grapes. I mean, you're done. It's over. Rally behind the leader. Look, you're already fighting the Democratic Party and the mainstream media. Why make it easy for him?
We'll also be hearing from Marco Rubio, another Trump challenger who has been, I would say he hasn't released his delegates, but less adamant that he's still in the race than Ted Cruz. And he also is running for his Senate seat again, so he'll probably be, I would say, more positive.
Yeah, and I understand it's going to be a video presentation because he is in Florida campaigning, because there's a primary coming up. I think it's in August, and then he'll be in the general. I don't think Marco Rubio has a problem with keeping his Senate seat, and that's where he should be right now.
Other thing we're going to be watching for is Newt Gingrich. He apparently is going to be delivering a major policy address. I saw him tell Fox News last night that he's got a couple of speechwriters on it. Usually he does his own speechwriting, or at least he does the basis of it, but this one is going to be apparently a very well-constructed speech, and he basically is going to be telling us what could happen if we are not on guard about ISIS and some other things, some other geopolitical issues. He says one of our cities could be hit by a nuclear missile because Iran is that close.
Yeah, and now we're finding out that the secret deal is even more secret than we first were led to believe. So, and I can't believe the media is not even covering that. That's a pretty darn important story. They're more concerned about whether Melania Trump borrowed a few lines.
Well, that's the situation in Cleveland as we come to you on Wednesday. We're at the halfway mark of this convention. Pivotal night tonight. Mike Pence will be nominated.
Yep.
Donald Trump will be back at the convention live. We'll hear from two of his rivals. We'll hear from Newt Gingrich, and we'll get back to you tomorrow. The Celebrity Playbook with the Cowboy and Crane from Cleveland.